Welcome to the webinar for the 3D Game Design Competition. This exciting competition involves teamwork and uses a variety of software to create and assemble components of an interactive 3D game. In this webinar, we'll look at how to use 2Paint, 2Paint-A-Picture, 2Beat, 2Sequence and 2DIY 3D. These are all found in the Tools area of Purple Mash. Scrolling down, we'll find the Art area and the Music area. We'll have a look at 2Paint-A-Picture for creating scenery and backdrops in our game. We'll look at 2Paint for creating objects in the game. And in the Music and Sound area, we'll explore 2Beat and 2Sequence for generating the background music and sounds for the game. When children have generated all the different parts for their game, they'll assemble them in 2DIY 3D. We'll have a good look around 2DIY 3D today. We'll also take a look behind the sharing button at the top. We'll explore creating display boards and blogs for children to share their games. This will help you generate an in-school competition to help you to decide which entry to submit to the competition. Each school can only submit one entry. We recommend you have a competition within the school to help select the entry to submit. Each entry will be created by a team of children, and we'll talk about that during the session today as well. Here's an example of a display board containing a series of games created in 2DIY 3D. You'll see you can hover over the games pinned to the board, and you can click on a game to play it. The children will be expected to create game instructions, and then when the game is played, the player uses the arrow keys to move around. In this game, I've got to avoid the soldiers but collect the shields. I can see there's a shield through there, but the soldier's in there. Let's see if I can get through. Oh, I didn't. There we go. Hold on, here we go. Collect the shield. To the top right, you'll see a map. Yellow, you'll see things that you need to collect, and in red, you'll see the danger items or objects. As I mentioned before, these objects can be drawn and created in other paint programs, as can the walls that you can see around. Go down here, collect that shield, and then I can keep going. You can come out of a game on a display board easily enough and access another game. What one have we got here? This one looks like a Great Fire of London game. Fire, watch out, collect the buckets, watch out for the flames. I'm going to click on play. Game will load, and again I can navigate. So I'm looking for the bucket, so I don't want the flames. Let's see if we can find a bucket. There we go, so I can click that bucket. I'm going to exit this game and we'll have a look at some of the other options. This one down here is an online safety game, so it's a good example. Collect the things that keep you safer online and avoid the risks. Identify the meaning of all the symbols. I click on play, again I access the game and I can see the symbols moving around. So there's lots of different games you can create with lots of different themes. However, we're asking you to create a game on a particular theme for the competition, an online safety game. To get the children familiar with 2DIY 3D and the types of games they can create, you can use the search bar at the top to search for the tag 2DIY 3D. This will bring up a series of results, and at the bottom here you'll find lots of pre-made 2DIY 3D games. Some of them will just open up and you'll play them, and others will open up in edit mode so children can explore and expand the games. This one here, this dinosaurs one, opens straight up in play mode. You can hear this one's got some interesting background music. Background sounds, I should say. Other games, such as this Viking Invasion example, will open up in edit mode. We'll look at 2DIY 3D in a lot more detail later, but I just want to draw your attention to the levels to the top right. Children can create games so that when the player has collected all of the good things on that level, they're moved to the next level of the game. This can help children generate games with a story or a goal and levels players work through. If children have added their games to a blog as blog posts, as a teacher you'll have an alert to tell you that there's a blog post waiting to be approved. You can click Go To go straight to that blog post. If you view that blog post and you approve it, the blog post will then appear on the blog for the other children to see. So you can see this is the Viking game by Alfie. I'm just going to return to the blog homepage there, so you'll see the Viking game there. If other children then visit the blog, they'll be able to click on the blog post, they'll be able to click on the game to play it, and then once they've played it, they will be able to comment on the blog. And this is really neat for great reviews. We've looked at 2DIY 3D and had a quick look at some of the different types of games that have been created and how they can be shared and how other children can interact with games that have been created by their peers. We're now going to look in more detail at how you set up those sharing spaces, those display boards and those blogs, and then at how the children can use the tools to create the different elements of their game and then put them together in 2DIY 3D to create their final submission. So we're going to start by clicking on the sharing button at the top and creating a display board and a blog. These will then be there for the children to share their games to as soon as they're finished, and will mean they can play each other's games almost as soon as they're ready. You create a display board or a blog by clicking on the cogwheel to the right-hand side. This is the admin area for display boards. On the left-hand side, you'll see all the existing display boards, and you'll see some information as to how to make display boards, etc. on the right-hand side here. To make a display board, I'm going to click on the plus here on the left-hand side. This will bring up these options on the right. I can simply fill in the details. I'm going to enter a title and description and add an icon. I can answer the questions here. I can hide information and I can choose who can access the board. I can make the board visible to public if I'd like to share the board and the games with people outside of the school. This means the display board can be accessed without people having to log into Purple Mash. Underneath these options, I can choose who can see the display board. I could choose a particular class. I'm attached to Ren's class in this platform. Or I can check so that the whole school can see the board. In this instance, I'm going to set this board up for the Ren's class. When I click Save, the board will be created. OK. I can click on View the display board to see what it's like. So here you'll see the board with the title. There's nothing on the board yet, but it's ready for work when it's been created. Now that's been set up, if I come out of the display boards area, click on OK, this display board will now show in the sharing area under display board. So if I go into Purple Mash, anybody in Ren's class can log in, click on sharing, and click on the game design competition to access the display board. Let's come out of that one. So we've set a display board up ready for when the children have created their games and want to share them with each other to play them. We're also going to create a blog. To do this, I'm going to click on Shared Blogs, and again, I'm going to click on the cogwheel to enter the blog admin area. In this admin area, I've got any existing blogs on the left-hand side. In this case, there aren't any. On the right-hand side, I've got a video that explains to me how to use ToBlog. You'll notice there are two tabs here. In Purple Mash, it's possible for the children to come in and create their own blogs. Using the Child Blogs tab, you can see which children have created blogs and view them. We're going to create a shared blog. This comes under the Class Blogs tab. Under the tab, there's a little green plus. If we click on this, like we did with the display boards, the options for the blog will come up on the right-hand side, and we can fill these in. We can choose an icon and a cover image. Beneath these options, we can choose who can see, who can comment, and who can post on this blog. It could be that all the school can see the blog, but actually commenting and posting is slightly different. It could be that only a particular class or group can actually post on the blog, so we'll put Ren's group there. And it could be that only Ren's can comment on the blog. It could be that Ren's post to the blog, but the whole school can see it and comment on it. You'll choose different options depending on how you're going to run your competition. Once you've completed all the options here, you can click on Save. The blog will now appear on the left-hand side. Any of these options can be edited and then resaved. We can view the blog by clicking on View Blog at the bottom, or we can return to Purple Mash. In the same way as the display boards, if I'm now logged in as, well, anybody in the school, because we set that so the whole school can see it, if I was to click on Sharing at the top here, and I click on Shared Blogs, I'll see the Games Design Competition blog here. I can click on this to access the blog. You'll see now the blog is loaded, the head has appeared, but there are currently no posts. The blog is now ready for the children to post the games they've created. They can then play each other's and add comments to the blog posts. So in preparation for the work on their games, you might create a display board or a blog for the children to share their games to. As the children are working in teams, you might also need a space for the children to share their files. Some children might be working on graphics and others on sound, for example. They'll need a shared space to save their graphics files and their sound files, ready to put them together in their game. Let's have a look in the work area. There's a couple of different ways you could do this. When you open up the work area, you'll notice that My Work is selected and all my files are displayed here on the right-hand side. Each child has got their own My Work folder, but they can't see into each other's folders. So if they're saving their files, their graphics for their game in their own folders, other children in the group won't be able to see them. Beneath that, you've got Class, and within Class, you've got a shared folder for the class. So these are the files that everybody in Ren's class can access and see. It's useful to have a class shared folder if you want to share something with the whole class, but the children are likely to be working in groups. For example, the group of 6. If all the children in all the groups were saving all their files into the class shared folder, they'd all be muddled up. When I expand Ren's class here, there's some folders inside Ren's class. Now, I can see these as a teacher, but the pupils can't see these. These are my access to their pupils' own work folders and my to-dos folders. So although they sit within the Ren's class folder, they're not shared folders like the Ren's class folder. However, any folders I add within Ren's class do sit within Ren's and are shared folders. What I want to do is create a shared folder in the Ren's class for Group 1 to be able to put their files. So I can add a folder, and I call it Group 1, click on OK, and now everybody in Group 1 can save their files into here, and the rest of Group 1 could access those files by going to the work area and expanding Class, and then the Class Shared folder, and then clicking on Group 1. Alternatively, you could create an actual Purple Mash group for the children to share their files. When you create a group of children, it will automatically create a group shared folder. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to come up to the menu here to the top right, and under Admin Settings, I'm going to go to Manage Users. On the left-hand side, I'm going to select Groups, and then I'm going to click on Add to create my group. I'm going to call it Group 1. Actually, let's call it GD for Games Design. Games Design Group 1. Description the same. I'm already a member of staff attached to the group. I don't need to add any other members of staff. So I'm just going to go to Select Pupils and choose the pupils in Ren's class that I want to add to my group. Now you'll see the pupils in the classes that you're attached to. If you want to add pupils from classes that aren't yours, then you'll need to get your admin user to create your group for you. I'm going to save that group. Now that group's in here. Okay, if I come out of the Manage Users area, back to the home page. So if they want to access that group folder in the work area here, within group, I've now got GD, Games Design Group 1. And I could add subfolders within there as well if I wanted to. So we've used the sharing options to create a display board or a blog ready for the children to share their work to. And we've created the children a shared space for files, either by going into the work area and within the class creating a folder within the class shared folder, or by going up to the admin menu and under admin settings and manage users, creating a Purple Mash group, which will create that group a shared folder in the group folder of the work area. Now we'll get started with actually making the game. I'm now logged into Purple Mash as Luke. Luke was one of the children I added to my Games Design Group 1, my GD Group 1. Luke's going to start by creating some of the graphics for the game. He's going to go to the tools and he can create the graphics using 2Paint, the first paint tool in Art and Design. Luke's going to click on 2Paint and then can draw here using the options he's got on the left-hand side. He can explore the colours and the different tools he can use to create his graphics. Before the children have got to this point, however, they will have discussed as a team the purpose of their game, their theme, and the different elements different children will create. Once they've finished the drawings, the children go up to the top menu and they click on Save. And then rather than saving it into their own work folder, they choose their, in this case, GD Group 1, their Game Design Group folder, and save, in this case, their graphic. And now he's saved that. If Luke was to go to the work area at the top and explore and find the GD Group 1 folder, the files for the game would appear in here. At the moment, he's the only one that's done anything, so there's just the one file. I'm now back in 2Paint, still logged in as Luke. Luke drew the ball freehand using the tools and options on the left-hand side in 2Paint. However, children might choose to draw characters and scenery by hand, and then digitalise them. You can do this by using the background button at the top to take a picture of the image that you've drawn, or choose a file from your computer. I've drawn a dragon that I know is on my computer, so I'm just going to import that. Okay, I'm going to click on OK, and that puts that on as the background, and I can now use the drawing tools to draw over the top. Once you've drawn the picture, you can go back up to the Backgrounds button, and then you can remove the background. I'm going to take the text out at the bottom as well. And then I'm going to save this into the Games Design Group 1 folder. Go to the menu and save, find the folder, and we'll call it Baby Dragon. I'm now in Purple Mash as Kelly. Kelly is also part of Games Design Group 1. When she goes to the work area and expands Group on the left-hand side, she can see the GD Group 1 folder. She can see the files this group contains, and if she clicks on the table view at the top, she can see who's created these files. Owen and Luke have been working on some of the graphics for the game. Kelly's job is to make the scenery. In order to do this, she's going to go into Tools, and when she scrolls down, she's going to find 2Paint a Picture. Clicking on to paint a picture, she'll find that there's lots of different options as we go in. Now, in this game, they're creating the inside of a castle scene. To do that, Kelly's going to use Poly Mosaic. If she wanted to, Kelly could import a background image to paint over to help her get some perspective for her scene. She could also use this button to take a photograph and paint over that. Don't forget that in every tool there's also a videos button to the top right, and in here there are videos that will take children through the different options of the tool and help them learn to use it. For the inside of the castle, Kelly's going to choose some grey colours and use the mosaic effect to create the inside of the walls. Once finished, Kelly's going to save that background. Again, she's going to save it in GD Group 1. If Kelly wanted to use other styles in addition to the mosaic, she could have gone to the menu and clicked on New, and chosen a new style, clicked on OK, and then chosen Yes to use this picture. It's worth letting the children have a go with To Paint a Picture and explore the styles and how they can work with them and work them together, so they know the options available to them while they're planning their game. You'll see now in this group in the work area there's now 3 files, made by 2 different children. We're now going to have a look in as another child, and that child's job in the group is to create the sound or the background music for the game. So this is Owen's account. If we go into the tools and scroll down to the bottom to music and sound, we'll find 2 beat and 2 sequence. We could use either of these to create the background music for our game. On the left hand side in 2 beat, you'll see the different instruments and can click on them to test them out. You choose where you want that instrument to play over here on the right hand side, and then here you can also adjust the volume of each channel. At the top there you can see the number of beats and change that if you'd like to, increase or decrease the tempo, and then press play to listen to the music. Children can click again to remove the sound and add sound as they wish. Once they're happy with their sound, they can go to the menu here and save. And of course, because I'm in as Owen and I'm making this for the games design, I'm going to add this as, we'll add it as sound 1. And that's now been saved. Again, you've got the videos button to take you through how to use the tool if you get stuck. Come out of that one. So next to 2 beat, we've got 2 sequence. Now 2 sequence looks similar in some ways, but this time rather than clicking in the boxes to add the sound, you drag the sound up from the bottom, where at the bottom you've got lots of different tabs containing lots of different sounds, sound effects and scales, etc. To add one in, you simply click on it and drag it into the channel that you want it. You can click on it to hear it. Drag all of these up if I'd like to. Go into drums. If we have to look at adding some drums in, add a couple of drum beats there, and then again I can press play at the top to listen to my sound. Just at the bottom here, I've got a scroll bar, so this will show me the beats. I've currently got 32. If I wanted to increase or reduce that, again I could click at the top here and increase or reduce the number of beats. At the top here I can put it on a loop, that's where I played my music, and here I can increase and decrease the tempo, and again like 2 beat I can increase or decrease the volume on the right hand side. I also have the videos that talk me through the tool if I'd like to. Now, what I'd like to add in here is the My Sounds. So in addition to the sounds already within the tabs here, the children can click on the plus and record their own sound. There is a gallery that they can choose from to add further sounds in, or they can upload a sound, or this is the button I was referring to a moment ago, they can record their sounds. They simply click on the record button, make the sound, and then press stop. And when I click on done, that will add the sound in here. Once I'm happy with my sound, I can go to the menu to the top left and save. I'm going to call that one sound 2. I'm not going to forget to put it into the games design group so that the rest of my group can see it. Click on save. So we've got this far through the webinar and we've covered a lot of things, including creating display boards and blogs for children to share games to, creating groups and shared group folders for children to share work to, and then looking at To Paint and To Paint a Picture for creating graphics and backgrounds, and 2 beat and 2 sequence for creating background sounds and music. Of course, children can also import images and graphics and background music and sound that they've created in other programs directly to 2DIY 3D. Hopefully all this has emphasised the importance of planning, and planning each part of the game, the objects that they collect, the goodies, the baddies, the backgrounds, And it's at this stage that we're going to enter and look at 2DIY 3D and how the children build their games using components that they've created, perhaps components that are in it, or external components. When we go into the tools and we click on 2DIY 3D, a variety of applications appear. At the top, you've got 2DIY 3D itself, and beneath that, you've got a series of supporting applications. These include a couple of different types of game planner, an app marketing tool and a game magazine, a review document, and then a printable background grid. I'd recommend printing one of these for each level of the children's games. If you laminate them and have them working in dry white marker, they're able to edit as they plan. Beneath the supporting application, there's a series of videos you can use with the children. Videos on making the game, removing backgrounds from images, customizing levels, instructions, and further options. There's also a series of games children can play to get an idea and a feel for the type of game they want to create. Beneath that, you've got teacher guides, a printable PDF teacher guide, and some more technical information. I'm going to scroll right back up to the top, and we're going to enter 2DIY 3D. For the games competition, children will work in 2DIY 3D My Game mode, with all the options available to them. When we click on My Game, we're faced with this. It looks a bit like our design planner. This is the player in the centre here, and they can be moved around if they want them to. On the left-hand side, you've got a couple of different tabs. You can draw, and you've got options for adding walls, fire, water to the floor. You've got an erase tool, and you've got options for ground, ceiling, sky, and other options. To the right-hand side, you've got your good things, things to collect. In this case, we've got them as coins, but we can change those as we build the game. And then we've got the baddies, the things to avoid. And again, they start out as little red monsters, but we can change them as we go along as well. If we want to play the level we're working on, we can click on the preview button. If we want to play the game from the start, we can click on play. To the right-hand side at the top, you've got the option to move between levels. So this is level 1, and if I click on the right-hand button, it will generate me level 2. If I click again, it will generate a level 3. I'm going to go back to level 1. To the right of that, you've got the eye and the book. That is the instructions. If you click on that, you can click to add a title for the level and instructions for the level. You can also alter the amount of lives, the time, the game over, and the level completed sounds. You write a set of instructions for each level that you create. Now we're creating the inside of a castle scene. I'm going to click on a wall on the left-hand side. We're going to use the wall we created in 2Paint2Picture earlier, so it doesn't really matter which one of these we select. If I click on one of these squares, it will put a piece of wall there. At the moment, the walls look like wooden walls. If on the left-hand side I can click where I can see the edit pen, it will bring up the option to edit this image. I'm going to click on the button at the top, the clip art button, to import my picture, and then on Choose File. I could take a picture if I wanted to at this point. When I choose a file, I could import the picture of the walls from my PC, but actually I'm going to go down to GD Group 1, where I know I've got the castle walls. I'm happy with that. I can zoom in or zoom out, click on OK, and that will change my wooden walls into my castle walls. I want the player to move through the castle to collect a key at the end. I'm going to add in my goodies and my baddies. I'm going to add a goodie in here and here, and I'm going to add a baddie in around about here. I'm also going to add a goodie at the end. That's the key that I want my player to collect. A bit like I could click on the edit pen to edit the walls, I can click on any of these coins to edit what they are. I can clear the current image at the top, and then I can use the drawing tools on the left-hand side to draw the new image, or I can use the Import Image button to choose one from the gallery, to take a photograph, or to choose a file. So I'm going to import the baby dragon image that I drew earlier. Now that's imported, I can zoom in, I can zoom out, to get it all on the page if I can. There we go. And on the right-hand side, I can adjust or set the movement, actions, sound effects, and points. There's lots of different options here. If you move through them, you'll see labels for them underneath. I'm going to make my baby dragon move around in a random direction, and I'm going to make him spin on the spot. Okay, sound effects, you can import from our galleries, or you can upload sounds, make music, upload, or record. I'm going to click on OK. And that's popped the baby dragon in there. Now I'm just going to go and pop the player next to the dragon so we can have a look and see what he looks like when we click on play. Just going to move around. So yeah, there he is. A It looks okay, but he's got a big white square around him that I want to get rid of. He's moving around in a random direction and he's spinning away. I'm just going to come out of that there and click back on him to edit some more. Now at the top here, with the drawing tools on the left, there's 2 tabs. In the second tab, there is a fill tool, and there is a transparent colour, this checkered colour here. And I'm going to use the fill tool to drop that transparent colour around the baby dragon. And we actually can take out this black line at the top here as well and at the bottom. There. Okay, click on OK. And that you'll see has taken the white space around the baby dragon away. And when I click on play now, find the dragon, there it is. That looks a bit better without the big white. Oh, there's a little bit at the top of his tail, look. So I can come back out of that, go back in and just use that fill tool again to take away the white patch on top of his tail. Okay. Now, if I wanted the other coins to match the changes I've just made to that one, I can click on it and click on this kind of copy to all good things at the top. Click on OK, and that will change the settings and the images of all the other coins and the ones down here on the right-hand side. I can also, of course, click on the baddie to change the baddie. I'm just going to go back up to images, choose a file, and this time we'll bring in the bull, our baddie bull. Again, I can zoom in, zoom out a little bit of this one again. I'm going to use the fill tool on the left to get rid of the white and of the black line at the bottom there. Click on OK, and that'll put my baddie in here. Again, on the right-hand side, there's various different options for the baddie's movement and actions, sound effects, and what damage happens. Don't forget you can adjust the number of lives players start with when you write the instructions by clicking on the eye. So you put your title instructions in there. This is where you can change the number of lives for that level. On the left-hand side then, you can also add fire and water. When you add fire or water in, you click on the spaces again, a bit like drawing walls. Fire the same. Both of those have different properties. If you click on them, it will tell you what they do, and you can change the colour there, change the colour of the fire, or if I click on the water, again, what the water does, and I can change the colour of the water. Underneath those options on the left-hand side, I've got an erase. I've got a ground option, a ceiling option, and a sky option. So for ground and ceiling, I can click and I can choose the image that I want on the ground and on the ceiling, and that can include taking pictures and choosing files that have been previously drawn as well. I didn't make one for ground or ceiling, so I'm just going to pop in an existing one. So ceiling, again, I can draw one, can click on the image button, and I can choose a ceiling as well, a cobbled ceiling there. You'll see that it will drastically change the way things look. Underneath that, you've got sky, so that's any space around the edge. So we won't see it along this wall because we put walls, but behind us here, that's the image that will display around the edge of the game will show with the choice of the sky. So I'm going to, there is a castle one, I think, choose the castle one there, click on OK. Beneath that, you've got other. Now you can go into other to set the lighting of the game. In the castle, it might be slightly darker, so I could change it to dark or very dark. Let's go just to dark. I can change the wall height. And I can also choose the background music. And of course, I can click on that and either choose a sound from our library here or create music using the piano option, upload or record a sound. And when I click on upload, I can browse to the GD Games Design Group 1 folder and I can import sound 1 or 2, the sounds the children made earlier. When you click on OK, that will attach that. So we've looked at most of the options around here now. Obviously, preview to preview the level, play to play it. We haven't typed instructions in, but that's easily enough done by clicking on the eye there. Groups can develop their games in different ways. There might be different areas, there might be different types of wall. So we've just imported one scenery image, but they might choose 4 or up to 4. They could go back once they've tweaked some of their objects. They can go back and tweak them further. So perhaps different colour smoke gives a different point score, for example. Or the baby dragon could even give advice, which could be recorded. Well done on finding me. Keep going until you find the key. That sound will now play when the player collides with the dragon. And then, of course, once children have completed one level, they will click on the arrow here to generate their next planned level. Now, as they go, it's really sensible to remind them to save their game. They, of course, can go to the menu and save and pop that into the GD Group 1 folder where everybody can see it. I've saved this once already, so I'm just going to save over the top of that one to update it. And just before I finish, I'm going to make my last goodie actually into a key that will unlock the next level. So I'm going to choose a key from the gallery here. Obviously, I can change this if I'd like to. I'm going to click on OK. So now the player works through the castle towards the key. I can include the benefits of meeting the dragons along the way in the instructions and why to avoid the bull in order to help the player understand the purpose of the game and why they need to get to the next level. Now, rather than pressing preview on this game, I'm actually going to show you another game that some children have made, which is a bit like this, but their version is much better. Once the children have finished making their game and they're ready to share it for others to play, they can go up to the menu to the top left and click on Share. From here they can share it to a display board or to the blog. If we share this one to the blog, choose the blog we created and click on OK. It will create a blog post with the game already set within the post. We can now give this a title, we can pop in a summary, and then we can write anything we'd like alongside the game. I'm going to hit Save and Published. As a teacher, you'll have an alert to say there's a blog post waiting to be approved, and you can click Go To. From here, it's easy for me to view and approve the post. Children, when they view the post, will be able to click on play the game, and then use the options underneath to comment on it. If children have tried to add their game to a display board, you'll still have a notification. It will say items are waiting for approval, and you can go to the board, click on the edit pen, and then approve the game. If I turn edit off to the top right, I'll now see the game is live on the board. As a teacher, you can also add work to display boards by selecting it in the work area and then going to the menu and clicking on To Display Board. And I think that's everything for the webinar. We've had a look at all the different elements of creating a game, how to create the shared spaces, and how to play and share games afterwards. Good luck with it all. We look forward to seeing your entry in the competition.